Hey, in my last videos, I've been talking about why maybe you don't feel as energized as you'd like to, and why stress is actually draining your energy. And in this video today, I'd like to show you a simple technique for interrupting that stress response and changing the path that you're on. So I'd like you to start by just taking a nice deep breath in and a deep breath out. As soon as we do this, we actually begin to interrupt that pattern. And that's really important because, as I've mentioned, when you take a different path, when you go down a different road, then your nervous system starts to respond differently. And then the way that you handle stress changes. Truly, we can never escape stress. Stress is part of our everyday life. And in fact, stress is good. We want to have a little bit of stress in our lives. It's not about getting away from it. It's not really possible to do that. What it is about is how you respond to it. It's about learning how to manage it. It's about learning how to have a better control over yourself so that you can use stress to your advantage as opposed to having it control you. Because in fact, stress is an opportunity. Stress is an opportunity for you to feel how you respond to something, to allow that energy from that response to circulate through your body, and then to use it in a way that allows you to achieve your goals. You know, stress actually motivates us into action. And a lot of us, without stress, without deadlines, without, people having expectations, we don't do as much as we might otherwise. And so sometimes this helps us to come into our potential. Now, I know we want to be self-directed and it's not the outside world that tells us what to do, but let's be honest. A lot of people need that outward pressure. And thank goodness that we have that. But like I said, there is a cycle of energy movement that happens when you have the stress. So you have the trigger, then you have the response. And then you go, oh, how do I feel about it? What am I sensing? And then how am I going to act on that? Or perhaps even not act. So the idea is that we actually want to move that stress through your body, but in a way that's conscious as opposed to a way that is unconscious. So in fact, it can help be a great motivator, and we can move from stress to success if we know adequately how to respond to it. And I don't know how you define success, but I define it in such a way that I am happy in my everyday, that I feel balanced, that I have energy, and that I feel like I am not a victim of life, and that rather I am in the driver's seat. Of course, we have to be in the flow. There's a happy medium there to be struck. If you want that steady flame inside of you to glow, then actually learning how to manage your stress is key. And what I want to bring to the table as well in this discussion is that when you learn this skill, you're actually building that muscle, that responsive muscle. And what it means is that you're building resilience in the face of stressful situations. So it's like when you work out, right? At first, it's a little bit difficult and you might be a bit sore from it, but then the more you do it, the stronger you get. And then the easier it is for you to face whatever challenges are in front of you. So it's very similar to that. So if you consider that energy cannot be destroyed, it can only be transformed. And that really is the basis of alchemy. Then what we're doing here is a little lesson in alchemy. So that is one way that you can really embody your magic. Okay, so let's get into today's practice. I'd like you now to come back to your breathing. If you aren't sitting up straight, just sit up a little bit straighter so that we can open up through the respiratory diaphragm. And I'd like you to continue to breathe through your nose. Take a big breath in through your nose and then out either through your nose or your mouth. And I'd like to invite you into this practice now. So step inside this practice circle with me now. And as you breathe in and you breathe out, I'd like you to just mentally repeat the words, return to me. Because when we take a moment to just be with ourselves, it is a return to self. And so very often in our busy lives filled with lots of stressors, that's a really good way to begin to manage yourself differently and to begin to respond to your life differently. So this is like a little ritual for yourself, a moment for you. So again, in this return to self, we're going to begin with the breath. So as you breathe in, take a big, deep breath in. Fill your lungs and then breathe out slowly. So I would like you to really extend your exhale. So this is where the magic happens. So breathe in deeply and then breathe out really slowly. You may begin to notice when you breathe like that you can hear your breath more, a little bit like a wave on the ocean. And as you do that, you might be able to feel the belly rising and falling, the swelling up of the abdomen and then the falling back down. So it's expansion on the inhale and coming back to center on the exhale. And that is part 1 of interrupting the response. Part 2 is learning where in your body you might be reacting to that stress. So as you breathe in and you breathe out, I would like you to notice where you might be holding on to a little bit of stress in your body. Is it in your jaw? Are you clenching? If so, you can clench a little bit harder. That's right. We're going to go in the direction of the stress and really respect what your body is trying to do there. But then we're going to consciously let it go. So breathing in, squeeze a little, and then breathing out, let the stress and tension in your jaw go. We're going to do the same thing now, but with the shoulders. So a lot of people hold stress and tension in their shoulders. So I'd like you to breathe in and squeeze your shoulders up, squeeze out all the tension. And then on your out breath, we're going to release the shoulders very slowly. So on a count of 10, breathing out and releasing. Here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Very good. So if you have any other parts of your body where you notice that you have stress or that you have a tension when you're feeling a stressor, then it's good to respect your body intelligence, squeeze the same way that your body would as a response to the stress. So we're respecting it. Then we're consciously letting it go with breath. So this is a somatic technique. The next part of this is to, if your eyes are closed, open your eyes, look around the room and notice something, an object in the room that you like, and notice its color. And then maybe notice any sounds that you hear in the room, and notice any smells. And if you happen to be somewhere where maybe if you're outside, are there any sensations? So we're reorienting our mind to the outer world. And a lot of times in our practices, we want to bring the mind inward and notice self. That's very important, but it's also important to be able to say to your mind, okay, so I'm feeling something inside of myself, but there's a whole world outside. And when we refocus, the mind is a very fickle thing. And it likes to go in different places. And, as we know, a lot of us are very distracted, and especially when we're stressed. So it's easy to refocus the mind. So because of its flexibility, that's really awesome, because then what we can do is, rather than focus our attention on the thing that is stressing us out, we can change the focus onto something else, something that is neutral or something that makes us feel good. So that is how we shift into positive mindset. Now, at the very beginning, I said we start by doing a breath. That's how we interrupt the stress cycle. But I want to come back to this idea of attention. So the first thing actually that we must do in order to interrupt that stress cycle and that stress pattern is to know that we're there. So you need to have a moment where you say to yourself, whoops, I feel that stressor coming on. And be gentle with yourself if you don't catch it right away. It does, like everything else, take a little bit of practice. But as I mentioned in my past video, and if you haven't seen that one, go back and check it out. There is that moment where you recognize and then you choose differently. And every time that you are able to recognize successfully and then choose differently, you are actively repatterning. You are changing your brain, you're changing your nervous system, and you're changing who you are by the way that you respond to the stressors in your life. So I hope that this has helped you. And if you want to continue a practice like this that is a little bit longer, but not much, it's called 5 minutes just for you, and it's a free download that I've put together, so you can go grab that. All the information you need is in the description below. So I hope that you put these tips into practice when you're feeling a stressor come on in the coming days or weeks. And I also really want to thank you for choosing to be here with me today and for choosing yourself. So you could take one more big breath in and a big breath out and repeat again the words, return to me. Until next time, burn bright and hold on to your magic.